So these are 6 elements I find in so many shots in movies that have a cinematic look to them. And all of these shots I'm about to show you have these 6 things in them somewhere. What you're trying to do with an image when building these 6 elements into it is just make it as 3-dimensional as possible. Okay, so let's start with one that everyone probably knows by now, backlight. The light usually looks better coming from deep in the background towards the camera. And why this is the most common one people probably know by now is because it's sort of the building block for the items to come. So after having a backlight or a light source deep in the background, the next most important one would be depth. And that would be done by placing objects in the foreground, midground, background, and deep background. All of this to add layers and depth. So from having backlight and depth, that'll create the next thing, which is a silhouette. And not every item has to be a full silhouette, it just needs to be a darker image in front of the background, or having parts of it that are darker than what's in the background, like having a shadow on a face, for example. Then that immediately flows into the next thing, which is creating a checkerboard. A checkerboard is what you get from having alternating light to dark points of interest in the frame. So if the depth part is like having 3-dimensional deep image, the checkerboard is like having an alternating light to dark across the image. Practicals isn't something you always need, but it can help. You can take it too far sometimes by having gimmicky tubes and all kinds of stuff in the frame. But if there's a reason for it, it's a great way to motivate the direction of the light. And also just be another point of interest, which leads into the last one, that's reflections. And reflections are a thing that happens from having a light in the background coming towards the camera on a reflective specular surface, and by having it darker in the foreground. It's just one more point of interest to add to the checkerboard. So these items are why I think people are always drawn to taking photos of sunrises and sunsets on the ocean. It has every element in it. Practical, backlight, silhouette, reflections, layers. And this is another reason why Deakins is always so good at it. A lot of the time when he front lights, he still manages to backlight from that front light. By having a character placed in the foreground, holding a light source, like a torch or car headlights, that lights the background, and that depth layer is still there by shooting through that object. So mostly all of those images that I've shown have those elements in there somewhere. It might be big or small, but scroll back through and have a look for yourself. And that's it. I'll see you in the next one.